What's up, guys? We are here for another episode of All About Millennials. This is episode 12, which is part 2 of our Black Business Owners Showcase. And today we have a very special guest, William McClam. What's up, Will?
How's it going? Good morning.
Good morning.
Or shall we say evening?
Or evening,
yeah.
Wherever you are.
We never know what day or time it is. But we have a very special show for you guys because Will is also part of the entertainment industry. So not only are we talking about business, but we're talking about our favorite things in the world, including music, including film, including gaming. So let's go.
Well, the biggest thing, and Will, I know that that you're coming from a similar background than I am, just from the Midwest to Orlando to LA. And the big thing I want our listeners to know is how, in a brief summary, how'd you end up in LA from Chicago, basically?
So to give a little background about myself, born and raised Chicago, Illinois. I've been there until I was 17. I moved from Illinois with my first actual royalty check, and that brought me to Florida. I went to Florida at that time. I was signed up for Full Sail University and stuff like that. I was studying music production, and it was something I wanted to do because I've been into music my whole life. I started singing when I was 3. First instrument I picked up, it was the guitar, and then it was the bongos, and then drums, harmonica, saxophone. So I'm well-rounded in a lot of different instruments. I might not be able to master them all just yet, but I can actually make a note come out, and I can arrange things in a correct perspective that actually sounds sonically connected to each other. But once I moved to Florida, music started picking up for me and stuff like that because I started my own record label when I was 17. I was fresh out of high school and I needed something music related that I wanted to do, and besides just being creative, I actually wanted to be a part of the business, and I needed to get it out of Illinois. I just wanted to, I felt like it's kind of hard to quote unquote make it in your hometown because there's always those people that say they know you and stuff like that, and they want to tell you what's best for you. So that put me in the on the journey to getting away from my hometown so I could be more than what everyone else expected me to be. And Florida just so happened to be the cheapest and the hottest place to go to start out. And from Florida, that brought me to California, which is like a totally different game. You know, this industry out here is totally different than what Florida has. And I actually enjoy it more because it keeps you on your toes and you're constantly trying to level up. Because if you don't work as hard as the next man, that person's going to definitely step up because it's a dog-eat-dog world out here and everyone wants it.
Yeah, and we'll do anything to try and make sure you're behind the 8 ball and they're above you. Mm-hmm. But I do want to point out that one thing, and that's just what was your biggest, I would say, motivation for even wanting to do the music industry? Because we all have those like certain artists that we look up to or whatever.
Yeah. So with me, my biggest motivation in the music industry, or just creative in general, was NSYNC. NSYNC had this melody, this I don't want to say melody, but this flavor behind them that it was something that I haven't heard before. And, you know, it wasn't just the Boys to Men, the 112s, all those we call them groups in our community. but to hear a boy band that sound like a group, you know, it was mind blowing, and they had everything that I was looking for when it came to music. The catchy melodies, the catchy instrumentals behind the melodies, the vocals that sound so smooth when they all came together. You know, and to me, being light skinned, I actually thought they were light skinned as well, and that made me connect. I mean, probably it's the worst way to connect to them, but it's like, oh, it's someone that looks color related to me is making music on it, and it sounds like something I want to do. Later on, finding out, you know, I'm young and stuff, finding out that that's a totally different race than what I am. But you know, it's you got to start somewhere, you
we
know.
all think like that when we're little. We don't see, and it's funny because we don't see color when we're little. We just see like waking up. Oh, this is good or this is bad, and then this is what our parents want us to think, you know.
But and I mean, I grew up in just like you. Grew up in a African American community, and in those communities, you really don't see too many people standing out. You see everyone that's been doing the same thing for 40, 50 years. And with music, connecting to NSYNC, I mean, that drove me to become something that my surroundings weren't. And my grandma used to say stuff like, "You're never better than where you came from." But I wanted to prove that I could be better if I tried hard enough. And I didn't just want to be the in the city that's known for the highest crime rate and, you know, and all that negativity behind it. I want it to be beyond that, because we have like the Kanye's, the Commons, Chance the Rappers, and stuff like that. But at that time, we might have had maybe a Kanye, a Common. We didn't have too many others. I was gonna mention an R&B name. I'm not gonna say that, you know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know where you were going, and let's move on. Even though that's who y'all had in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just like I'm not going to say the one from Gary that everybody wants to associate me with.
Yeah. Man, we had people holding it down. They just ruined it for us.
Yeah, we both did. And to be honest, I was like the token guy in Indianapolis for a majority of my life. And I had this conversation probably a couple of days ago with my mom, to where I almost left my own church service over just like, I'm tired of the whole I'm trying to understand bit.
Yeah.
But it's more so just whatever. And then with this, I know you and I also touched on with going from for school, like starting and stopping school.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, and we all know Black households, or even anybody's household for that matter, like the whole parents' reaction to what, you quit school? What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
And I am keeping it PG for whatever reasoning, and not keep it
for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm keeping it PG too, and you know that I can swear a lot. You know?
No, I'm saying it because I know their reaction would not be PG.
Exactly. It's never PG, man. We didn't grow up in a PG environment. I'm gonna take it back a little. Just starting school in a subject that wasn't doctor, lawyer, teacher, mechanic, you know, and that aspect. Going to school for music, you know, it's always that voice where people are saying that's not a real job. And I want to say, like, have you not checked your catalog of music you listen to? Those are millionaires. You know, what do you mean it's not a real job? I don't know too many teachers that are millionaires, if we're looking at it from a money standpoint. I've always had that. It's not a real job. You need to find something else. Have this backup plan, plan B, all this nonsense you hear growing up. So going to school in general for music was a task. Having them back it with helping out with all the loans and stuff like that was shocking to be able to say I got them to agree on that. But then being able to say, all right, I'm gonna put this on hold. It was like, oh, really? You know?
Yeah.
Went through all of that just to put it on hold and stuff like that. But it worked out for me because I put it on hold, or basically I put studying on hold for something that I actually was aiming to do after I finished studying. So I kind of got a jump on it. I had the career before I had the degree, and it normally doesn't work that way. You normally have to get the degree first before you have the career, if we're looking at school. But I was able to get it beforehand, and then once I moved to California, I went back and got my entertainment business degree. But being able to, I would say, have that time off and to figure out things, it actually gave me a higher advantage to when it came time to actually study and hit the books and stuff like that. I was more focused than ever before because I wasn't worried about getting my name out there, creating music. I got to be out there. I need to share this link, post this post and stuff like that. And I was just like, you know what? At that time, it was my 5-year mark. I got this amazing award from the Grammy saying that congratulations on being 5 years in the music industry, which it's probably my biggest achievement. And I'm going on my 10th year. And if they do something like that on my 10th year, that's insane. And it's making me feel old, but that's insane. To be able to take a bedroom dream that had literally no supporters at all, no plan, because I didn't know where it was going to lead me to. Coming from the Midwest, living in the South for a little bit, now I'm out here on the West Side. You know, it's a crazy journey.
Amazing.
Yeah. Kaehla, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many things I want to say, but one of the things is that I love that you can take your music anywhere. Like, you started, like you said, in your hometown, and you used it to shape your career the way that you envisioned it. Like, you looked at these people that were not your typical, like you said, rappers or even like R&B, and you found people that kind of also broke the mold and bended. Is that a word? Bended.
Blending,
they blended genres, and you said, you know, things don't have to be what you expect them to be. You make it what it is. And exactly. What is your advice to people on that? Maybe other musicians that are trying to figure out where they fit in, or are trying to figure out what kind of music they want to produce, sing, whatever.
I think it's easy to say follow your gut and stuff like that, but sometimes your gut can be misleading. I say if it doesn't make sense, go for it. Because if it made sense, then what's the point of doing it? That means someone else made it happen. You need to make your idea happen. So right now it doesn't make sense, but convince people that it will. And being able to do that with something you did from your own, you know, that's monumental. I mean, it's a lot of people from my high school that wasn't making music until I started making music because that didn't make sense to them. Now it makes sense to them. And it's like, oh, he did it. He graduated. He's an alumni. You know, he did all this. Maybe we can do it. We don't have to be the guys that just ran track, played football, did all the varsity sports and stuff like that. Now we can actually be musicians. We can be graphic designers, because that was a program that wasn't really used a lot in my high school until people started needing cover arts for album covers and stuff like that. Now it's like, oh, we're being known for other things besides the norm, you know, besides the teachers, besides the lawyers, the athletes. We can now be musicians. So whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be just music. You know, if acting isn't really something that's super popular in your family or in your environment, make it popular, you know, be that person that stands out and stuff like that. And it has to be the stuff that humbles you, that end up being the best decisions you ever made.
I love that.
You gotta love it, man. And to be honest, like, I want to know what your take on all of us almost getting classified into our own genre of like content creation, or in your case, music, based off our ethnicity. And do you feel like you're kind of limited because of being an African-American millennial from Chicago, that you're only confined to like the R&B?
So in the business in general, you're definitely limited, but there's ways around it. I didn't put out an artist image. I didn't put out a music video probably until like my third, fourth song. I didn't want people to look at me and be like, all right, we already know what he is. I wanted you to see nothing but only hear the music. So by doing that, that forced them to take it as it is instead of giving them their own opinion towards something, which creating music or creating anything in the entertainment spectrum in general is built for opinions. You know, this is an opinion business. If we didn't watch movies and gave our reviews, would other people go and watch them? No. You know, there's whole businesses created just to review movies. You know, it's everyone's opinion matters in the entertainment industry. We might not think it matters in the real world, but in the entertainment industry, your opinion matters. So I didn't want anyone to create an opinion based on how I looked or where I came from or how I dressed and stuff like that. I wanted them to hear just the music. Because if you don't, you will definitely be put in this box. You would have to do some extreme, crazy things to actually get you out of that before they actually put you in it. Mm-hmm. And award ceremonies do that a lot. They will not put you in the category you want to be in. They put it in based on how they feel you should fit. And to be able to categorize someone based on that, on their looks or their appearance, and to me is mind-blowing. Let the music or let the art talk for itself. And a lot of awards shows and a lot of radio stations now, due to what's going on, it's kind of sad that it took this long, are getting rid of the word urban. Because, like, what is urban? When you think of urban, you're thinking of, like, neighborhoods, you know, like all Black communities, projects, stuff like that. Urban doesn't really have a positive recollection behind it. So now they're getting rid of that word and they're just calling it what it is based on the genre, whatever you placed yourself in. And it sucks. It took years and years and years because it was to the point where, like, I'm going to use Beyonce for an example. And I could have used Lil Nas X, but I like Beyonce more. Beyonce tried to create a country album or a country single with Dolly Parton so she could be basically on every chart. If she gets country, she'll be on every chart in history, which is insane to even say. They blocked that because she's known for urban music.
Right.
Like country music is like classical music. You have to have a certain amount of music before you can classify yourself as a country artist or classical artist. Classical music is not even collected royalty-wise the same way as regular music, like R&B, pop, and stuff like that. They have their own organization that collects the royalties on your behalf. You basically have to go through an interview process for them to say you're a classical artist. But you can't just go out there and be like, all right, I create classical music. Why can't I be a classical artist? It doesn't work like that for some reason. Mm-hmm. And country music is the same way. Lil Nas X, when he did Old Town Road? Yep. Mm-hmm. He tried to come out and say it was a country song before
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus, there you go. I was about to say Miley Cyrus, but Billy Ray, before he jumped on the record. So he needed someone that was in the country realm to actually make it a country song. But even then, they hit him with that same thing they did with Beyonce. He didn't make a large enough country ballads for him to be classified as a country artist. So they still put that in the rap categories, the pop categories, and the R&B category, which to me is mind-blowing that they have this bubble, and it's so hard to get in the music industry. Being able to get in the music industry in general used to be hard, but now it's super easy to get into. But trying to get in a specific genre, that's where they're still the gatekeepers. And
do you know? I just want to ask one example because now we're on the conversation of country blending with rap, and that's something that I think we were as millennials fortunate to go through a transition where even before Lil Nas X, people opened the gates to that, and a lot of country singers rap, but I'm not talking about that. I want to go all the way back to 2004 or 5 to Nelly getting in a song with Kid Rock. And about 2 3 years ago, I actually saw Nelly in concert at a country music festival.
Yeah.
So he's still, to this day, like we said, blending genres and breaking that mold and showing people that it's okay. Do you have much say on that? Like Lil Nas X is definitely one of those people that is trying to do that. Maybe had some backlash. Do you know anything about like Nelly? Like,
I think Nelly had a smooth transition because he's from the South, so he
Right.
had that country sound in him, and I think that gave him the upper hand. Because he had songs with Tim McGraw and stuff like that, and came out with country grammar, and it's like that man knew what he was doing. He tried to hit us with rap, but if you break it down, because they like to break your songs down when you're trying to get into different genres, they're looking at the elements. He has that twang in his voice that sounds like he could have been a straight up country artist, like from the jump. But he just so happened to have an 808 and a snare in the background of his song. But I believe if he just came out with a guitar, he would probably do great, or if not greater than what Taylor Swift once was when she was in the country era. Because now she's totally not country at all. They don't even want to classify her in country anymore.
right, yeah.
They want to keep certain genres so tight that you look at the charts, it's the same artists every time that are charting. They don't have too many new artists coming in. It's still the old Dolly Partons and stuff like that, Carrie Underwoods and the Dixie Chicks and Tim McGraw and all the guys from
Urban, yeah.
Keith Urban.
I'll go in on any chart.
You know?
We can talk about all day.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear your take on that because it's just I think it's interesting for people who are listening that it, like you said, regardless of what industry they're in, but especially for people in music, even like acting, because acting is very genre based also.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like having that courage to whatever you feel, just to go towards that, even if it's not the norm, or like you said, not painting yourself in a box.
Exactly.
Trying to break through that. I think that's
being
really
able to come out in the beginning, not being in a box, opens up so many doors for you. I never wanted to be, even though I'm from a gangster community, I never wanted to be the guy that was known for being a gangster and all this stuff like that.
Right.
When you look at those artists, like, I mean, we have like the Chief Keefs and all that stuff, and I love those guys. I mean, we're like all from the same neighborhood type of thing. When you look at them, of course they have a lot of money. Like money, when we look at money in the entertainment industry, if you don't make any money and you're in this industry, there's something wrong with you. Like when you're on that level. But to see them and they don't get any recognition at all. They're not at any award shows. They're not invited to any award shows. You don't see any commercials. You don't see any films using their music. You don't see anything. They're basically just going off of what a fan is supporting them. They're not really monetizing their content, and it's based on the sound and the genre they put themselves in. A lot of genres doesn't get support, and it's kind of hard to tell a younger artist like that to be more commercial, but still true to yourself, because that's when the whole saying of selling out. Just because you're selling a record doesn't mean you're selling out. That's how I look at it. When you start changing yourself just to get approved by these higher ups, then that to me is selling out, because you shouldn't have to kiss anyone's aid just to stand out. And
thank you for that.
Yeah. And but seeing them, and I've been to these award shows, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, you don't see any dreadheads in here. You know, it's like that's the whole genre that's on the radio, but none of them are here. And it's kind of sad. We won't
even like get into the politics of award shows.
Yeah, let's move on.
It's kind of sad.
I'm on the fence with that because I know too many people work behind the scenes with that.
But you do have a point, and it's just like, you know, breaking the mold.
Yeah.
And also, I wanna ask one more question before we go to break, which is probably gonna be the last bit about your music But as far as the music that you've released, you would have had to at some point have a conversation with yourself and say, you know, I never considered myself doing this music, but it's kind of amazing that this is what is leading me to my success. Like you said, you released an instrumental album.
Yes.
And that's when you're a kid, you don't wake up in the morning and go, when I grow up, I'm going to make an instrumental album.
Exactly.
No, you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I'm going to be the next NSYNC, but in my own way.
Exactly.
You know? But how did you find success in doing something different, not just with the genre, but the type of music that you put out?
Consistency. So I had this thing where I'm a big Kanye fan. Kanye has a line from his first album where he said he made 5 beats a day for 3 summers, and he literally has the hard drives and the floppies. We use floppy disks back there on those old school drum machines. 5 songs a day for 365 days. That's an insane amount of music. So for him to be able to do that, and you look at all the old documentaries that he's put out, he would show up to a recording session with Jay-Z with hundreds and hundreds of songs, and Jay-Z would be like, wow, you know, this man's great. But that's why they wanted him to be a producer in the beginning. So me, being from Chicago as well, actually both of my parents taught at Chicago State while Kanye was still attending Chicago State before he dropped out. So it all like goes in the circle.
What?
Yeah.
Going to his album? No.
Yeah. So
they were there.
It's crazy. And so when it came to creating my instrumental album, I forced myself to make 10 beats in a month and release it within that month. So I will release every album. Actually, the first one's anniversary from last year is coming up. It's June 17th. I had 17 days to put it out. So I'll make the beats within 17 days and then put it out before the 17th. And all of my instrumental albums came out not June 17th, but June 17th, July 17th, August 17th. I kept the 17th as the date I wanted to aim for.
I was going to ask if you had like a number.
Yeah, it was the consistency with it. So I had that 30-day push to finish everything in 30 days and release it. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever put myself into, because normally for me to create an album, it might take 3 to 6 months. But to create a full album production, have all the metadata correct, that's with the barcodes and the identifications per song, and having all the titles registered and making sure they're not going to get blocked based on how they're lettered, because Spotify and stuff sometimes block the way you spell things, and having your artwork approved and registering with the copyright agencies, doing all that. I had 30 days to do all of that. And most people was like, oh man, we have this album finished, but the label hasn't did all the paperwork behind it, so it's sitting for another year. I mean, I did all that year worth of paperwork in 1 month, and I had to do that for 4 albums. That consistency kept me moving creatively, but also in the era of the internet. The more you do, the more you're going to be recognized for it. So it's the algorithm that kicked in, and that's when the success actually came in. And to me, I was like, man, it took me however many years to get to this point, and all I had to do was be consistent. If I would have known that, I would have been consistent a long time ago, you know? Consistency does it. That's what, even with like video gaming.
We'll get to that in a minute, man.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And with that being said, let's take it a break.
Hey, all you millennials and millennial lovers. I have discovered some new products for all of us to take care of our skin and our beauty, our well-being during these times when we can't go to the store so easily. It's Pharmacy Cosmetics, and they make stuff for kids. They make stuff for women, men, everybody. And I love to use the calendula balsam, which is a product that kind of just soaks into your skin when you put it on and keeps you moisturized for hours. So if you're interested in that, you can go to pharmacyus.com/Kaehla Maurer, FARMASIUS.com/KAEHLAMAURER. All right, everyone, we are back from break, and we have Will talking all about how he has been making his come up in music and starting his own record label at 17. Oh my gosh, talk about a business inspiration. If you're listening to this right now and you have any inkling to do something yourself, this guy knows what to do. Oh my God. Consistency is like the thing that's going to be ringing in my head.
Yes.
I know we wanted to switch subjects a little bit, and you are actually a man of many talents, and one that people would, well, actually nowadays it's pretty popular, but 10 years ago, people would not be considering this to be something that could be a revenue stream, gaming. Donaze, I can't wait to listen to you guys get into this conversation.
Okay. Well, he and I had talked about it, and heck, you were there the day I got basically my setup, and my thing is just on top of not what our parents think, especially when we say, "Oh, we're dropping out of school," which, ooh, yeah, I didn't even want to return anything below a C to my parents growing up, and yet you, not only did you say, "I'm dropping out of school and moving across the country," but now you're having to tell them, on top of that, I'm making money gaming and in music, like two fields. All intents and purposes, 70s and 80s were not, especially for us, even a thought of. So, but now it's like we can have all these multifaceted talents, but do we have the time? Do we have the drive and do we have the time? So my question is, how have you been able to really, I would say you got started mid last year, remember? Because
it was like around this time actually last year, when everything was kicking off with the Facebook gaming.
Right.
Oh man, that's insane. It's been a year that I've been doing it, and it was one of those things where I didn't actually plan on being on Facebook. Facebook just so happened to be a platform where it wasn't crowded yet. I was looking for a place that wasn't crowded. I know Twitter offers a platform for video, but you have to meet a certain criteria to actually be able to upload full-length videos. Instagram at the time was thinking about Instagram TV. Now it's out, and I'm thinking about utilizing that, but that's still another Facebook platform. Twitch doesn't really save your videos long enough like YouTube, and Mixer was brand new at the time, so it wasn't really too many options. And we all knew Facebook had a platform where you can upload video, but being able to monetize it was brand new. So now that they offer the AdSense and they offer the ad breaks, and which is the ad breaks are actually cooler than the AdSense because you can make more from the ad breaks. Being able to do that and do it quickly compared to YouTube, like those same videos I would upload on YouTube would get maybe like 500 plays within a week. Once I uploaded it to Facebook, I was getting like 5,000 plays in a day. So that right there just shows the traffic was different. YouTube is where everyone wants to be a creator and no one wants to be a viewer. Facebook, everyone wants to be a viewer and there's not too many creators. So I took that platform and I was like, all right, let me use this one to my advantage. Yeah, I like to get around things because I don't like people telling me I have to do things a certain way. Like even if we're thinking about the film industry, unions, like we've talked about this over the years. I always had a way to get around things, you know.
Let's not say that on camera for the simple fact.
It's legally though. It's legal. It's legally. Though.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's legal, but it's like if everybody knew about it.
Oh yeah. That's why I cut it. You know.
Yeah, if everybody knew about it, then it wouldn't be like. And those are the types of things. Just making those connections, making those networks, are very beneficial. But it's more so just knowing what to do and when to do it, and just managing the time, which you were telling me, like the 8 terabyte that I have is child's play compared to all the stock footage that you have.
Yes. It's addicting. See, I love creating the video game content because video game content is one of those things you're playing because you want to have fun. You're not playing because it's a job. Like making music, acting, stuff like that, to me is a fun job. It's not really like, oh, I hate my life, I got to get up and go to work type of situation. But it's actually work you have to do. You actually have to physically do something that's so strategic, and if one error in it can screw up your whole project. Video gaming, people like to see you die in a game. You know, they like to see you miss that shot of if you're playing a sports game or crash if you're racing. You don't have to have a perfect edit. And to be able to do that, I would sit down and probably play for 6 to 8 hours a day and have all this footage. And it's like, I don't even have to edit it. Everyone's going to enjoy my mistakes because if you're that perfect gamer, we already know how it's going to end. You're going to finish the campaign just like anyone else. But I want to see how you got through the campaign. You know, how did you get to this level, this next mission? Did you die? Did you stealth? You know, what did you do? And being able to do that, it shows your own path. It's almost like an inspirational thing. How did you get to this point within the video game? You chose your own path. You didn't follow everyone else's. You know, you didn't use cheat codes and all this stuff. You wanted to do it the way you wanted to do it. And people like to see that. We can play the same game throughout the whole country, and no one's going to play it the same way. That's the coolest thing ever. But any other genre, we're trying to read the script perfectly. We're trying to write the best song, and we're trying to fight against everyone else who's already done it. But when you're playing a video game, you're just uploading and letting the world take hold of it. And that to me is the coolest job ever because there's no stress in it. And that's why I was hyped for you to get your setup. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna get addicted to it. You know?
And speaking of that, Facebook.com/DKey4Real, and that is up and running. And I think at this point, by probably today, there may be like 3 or 4 hours worth of content up.
Nice.
So I'm
nice.
Grateful for that. And it's as simple as record. And one of my friends was telling me this about the last time we played, recording, capturing, and then if depending on how you want to do it, just get the footage and post.
Mm-hmm.
That's as simple as it is.
It sounds too good to be true, but it's literally just that formula.
It's like, now I want to do this.
You should. Yeah.
I only play like 2 games, which is Tetris, the new Tetris 99.
Oh yeah.
Obsessed.
Okay.
I just unlocked the. I started getting number 1 because you're playing against other people.
Yeah.
And I unlocked this thing where you only play people that have gotten number 1, but then I'm playing against computers, so it's like.
Yeah, so like your online ranked battles, and then you just switch to the main.
There's not even enough people on there, so I'm like, maybe I should start recording this now. I'm pumped. I'm not even like a gamer, but this is like, should I be doing this?
Which
it turned into so many opportunities with just. So I used to play NBA Live 19 because it would have been 20, but EA had gotten into some issues and they couldn't put out 20 due to financial reasons. So I played NBA Live that whole entire year. It wasn't even a full year, I don't think. I even played it for a full year. Just last year, I played NBA Live. I might have uploaded maybe 30 videos or something like that. Within my 5th video, I was getting invited to, because this would have been around the E3 time of the year. I was getting invited to video game expos and coming out testing, being invited to test out other video games and stuff. And I'm just a little guy. I'm new to this platform. You know, no one knows who I am. I have a handful of followers and stuff like that. So to be able to get a taste of those invites, those free downloads and stuff like that. I mean, I was getting free games that whole year, that whole segment I was playing last year. I don't think I even bought a game because I was getting them for free. Like, just being able to keep the consistency going long enough, playing a game that, you know, NBA Live is one of those titles where it's competing with another title, which is NBA 2K. So I don't like doing the thing that's the most popular. Like, if I'm reviewing a movie, I'm going to go talk about a movie no one went to see. I'm not going to talk about the Titanic that everyone knows. So with NBA Live, I didn't play the basketball game that everyone played because everyone played NBA 2K. I played the underdog, and that underdog brought some light to my content because it's like, oh, I was wondering what this game was about, so I'm going to watch him. Yeah, everyone's playing 2K, but what about NBA Live? I want to see what's the comparison. And being able to, I always find a way to make myself stand out. I hate following trends. I hate doing what everyone else is doing. So playing a game that I knew would get a lot of hate, you know, in the video game community, everyone hates on something, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
In every community, everybody wants to hate on something.
Yeah,
video game, for some reason, it's these hardcore Xbox versus PlayStation guys, and it's like PC dominant community, and it's like these intense computer gangsters, and those count as views, and that stuff was boosting, and I'm a guy that likes to reply, but I'm like, are you saying so? Someone would comment like, man, these graphics are terrible. Like, are you saying this from a guy that only played 2K, or have you actually played the game? And the guy was, oh, I never played the game, so then your comment is irrelevant because you don't know how to compare it correctly. You're looking at my footage. I want you to compare it based on you playing it. Don't compare it based on what you're looking at. Get the feel of it, because every game has different mechanics. You know, the controller, the way it's maneuvering, the way you shoot with the stick, or the way you fight or whatever. No two games are alike. And for you to compare based on what you're seeing, the visuals, you're not actually playing it, so you don't really know how the game is. You know, it's kind of stupid to say it like that. And I forced a lot of people to go out and buy that game, and I was getting invited to things, you know? It works out.
And yet you still have like 3 albums getting ready to
just
crank out at the same time.
Exactly.
So it's like maximizing your time, and that, but still having fun while you're doing it, and not being confined. As even though we're in a crazy time right now, being confined in one box is not what anybody wants, what anybody needs.
Exactly.
For anything. And man, I think the one last piece of advice I want you to give, and that's just for those out there that think, okay, I don't know how to tell my parents I'm going.
Oh my god, I just like
I'm going against the grain.
I was like thinking about what we've been thinking about, and I just had like a moment.
Yeah, because I know my parents, they didn't even want me leaving the Midwest, let alone being in LA as a filmmaker. And I tell them, oh, you're gaming too? I'm like, yeah, and they would think I'm crazy. But at the end of the day,
moving to Florida was hard. But moving here, convincing people, they're like, oh, this area, this state is known for, you know, like the darkness and all this, you know, everyone's coming up with these assumptions. Even not saying it's not true or anything.
Known for the darkness. What?
You know, like Hollywood has a lot of dark things behind it.
Like everybody's like, it's so sunny and like everybody wants to move to California, and I'm like, oh boo, Florida, it's muggy and it rains every day, and
like California has a bad reputation, and trying to convince like family members and stuff that I was going there, they're like, what are you gonna get yourself into, all of this and that, watch out for drugs. I'm like, you can find that anywhere. Don't just pinpoint that on one state. Just because they can afford it doesn't mean that's the worst state to live in. Just coming here in general, trying to convince them was hard enough. But then I thought about it. I'm like, man, everything I've been doing my whole life, I had to convince someone that it was worth doing. And eventually they realized, like, oh, then that was a good idea. It's like,
so I might as well do it in the hardest place to do it.
Yeah.
It's rewarding.
Yep.
It's like, it got to the point where I stopped even trying to convince people, and I just showed them. So when it came to music, they'd ask, oh, you still making music? I tell them, Google it, look it up, and literally do it while I'm on the phone with you. And they'll see all these articles, and they're like, oh, you did this, you met that person, you was at this studio, that studio, you did this project, that project. Wow, I guess moving out there was cool. Your little cousin sings too. I'm like, oh, now my family member is making music too.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
All I had to do is just say, here's my IMDb, which, by the way, the podcast is on IMDb as soon as the month lets out.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I am working on that right now. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's just like not doing stuff for other people. And that's the one thing. If this episode...
Not doing stuff to impress other people, or...
So, what I mean by that...
That might be like, oh, I can be selfish.
Yeah.
No. Like, if your main goal
is
to only do this because my parents did it, or I'm doing it for someone else, like, a lot of people right now are really just in that bind of, for my race, for my family. Like, heck, part of my brain is like, oh, I have to maintain what I am and be better to inspire my family to want to do better. But no, all I have to do is just be myself. All we have to do is be ourselves and put our best foot forward. And that's when the most genuine work and authentic work from all of us, regardless of race, ethnicity, regardless of industry, comes from. And heck, who knows? We could easily be talking in like a couple of years' time of, like, where'd the time go? But it's more so just love what you do. Don't let anybody tell you that you're doing it wrong, because at the end of the day, that's where the best content is coming from. If you love it, do it.
I look at it too as, when you do something, don't seek supporters. When you start seeking supporters, that's when you start letting yourself down. And when you let yourself down, that's when you lose interest in doing it in the first place. When you do something and you're doing it based on your own support system, meaning you as your main source of support, that's when you're going to fall in love with it anymore. Because it's one of those situations where you have to look at yourself. Like, I might not be the best looking person in the world, but to me, I'm the best looking person. There's no one else out here looks like me. You have to look at your career that same way. I might not be the best gamer, the best musician in the world, but to me, I'm the best because no one else can play or sound like me. When you start looking for supporters, like, hey man, support this and that, and people, especially nowadays, when people see that you're actually creating something, they start wanting to do it themselves. And now you lost that supporter because that supporter turned into a competition, a competitor. And it's no need for you to have. When it came to music, I always seeked people I didn't know. My first song that I released, I pushed it in a market that I didn't live in. I just uploaded it to different countries and stuff like platforms and stuff like that. And it got picked up on a UK radio station the first week. I got interviewed and stuff like that. And being that it had airplay, I never actually had the chance to say I was an underground artist because I was automatically getting recognition based on the way I marketed myself. Mm-hmm. Being able to push it beyond what other people in your community, your surroundings are saying, I think it's the best route to take, because when you start seeking them, it's always going to be that one family member, that one friend who you thought was going to support you that ends up not supporting you at all. So I'd rather come out swinging, not thinking about any of them, and just do it based on how I feel about my own self.
Yeah. And any other thoughts, Kaehla, before we close this bad boy out?
I think that's great. I think we just, a lot of the times, kind of fall to that, trying to
please people.
Yeah, trying to please people and get them to back you up. Which, I mean, to an extent, I think, it's great to look for people who support you, but also having the confidence in yourself first, having that as the root makes a difference on those people sticking around, because they like you for what you're doing, not just because you're forcing them to, or because they're your family, or even I see the people that are the biggest skeptics could turn out to be your biggest fans, because they propel you. They tell you what can be better if you want to take the advice like that. And then once you take that and you improve that aspect, it's just like you're gaining supporters left and right, whether you know it or not.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
And even with that, it's like, wow. But to be honest, before we get into this promotional tree, like, thanks for listening, guys. We will have part 3 of this bad boy next week. And Will, you got anything you're trying to, any music EPs just getting ready to come out?
Not this month, no. Well, I guess I could say the anniversary of my first ever instrumental album was June 17th.
So that came out Wednesday, so everybody can.
Yeah, so it came out last year, so it's turning a year. I'm using my phone actually. So it's called, I can text it to you, but it's Gimme Beats Volume 1. Came out June 17th, which is insane that a lot has happened this year.
I know.
And it hasn't even been a year. It's insane just to think about it.
Yeah.
But, oh man.
Well, we'll link it.
We'll definitely link it, bro. No worries.
Dope.
And then
and how can listeners follow you on social media?
Okay, so my Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, I think Instagram and Twitter is Too Smooth Music. So it's TOOSMOOTH music, all one word. Or if you simply just type Too Smooth and Google search, it would all pop up. It's like I worked pretty hard to have Google align everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, guys, come on, help him with his Google searches, because obviously that's a huge deal for us. Okay, so boost us up. No, boost us up. All right.
I was about to go to you next, but okay. Yeah.
So that is a huge deal. The fact that you can just search yourself on Google, guys.
Yes.
The proof is in the pudding. To use that.
When you guys are, I'm not sure if this is a question I can ask on this. When you guys are doing the metadata, if you put Too Smooth, especially when it comes to Spotify, it should link to my artist account. So then that's even more publicity, not only for what we just talked about, but the entire podcast as well. So that works out too.
Look at that. This is why we do things like this.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and are you posting any hours, any gaming anytime soon on Too Smooth, or just?
I'm gonna try to put some stuff out next week.
Okay.
I was actually on a trip because I to pay the bills. I do photography stuff, and that's why I was in Nevada. Literally just got back 4 a.m. this morning. So it's amazing.
Awake.
Oh no, dude, bro, I'm telling you. I love photography and stuff like that, but because we're always just talking about cameras and stuff.
Oh, touche.
I go out there and I try to use my cameras as much as I can, or as much as my gas tank will allow me to do. And came back. I knew I was going to jump on this, so I came back early because I was going to stay till Wednesday. And I was like, I spent enough time out here. Let me come back. I've never actually done a podcast before in my life, so this was pretty cool experience.
Nice.
Happy to have you, bro.
Like every week we have these amazing guests, and they're like, I'm not really good at interviewing. I'm not really used to podcasts, but it's like, you guys are so natural with it. I mean, we didn't even know what podcasting was 3 months ago. Like, we wanted to do a podcast a year ago, and we really had no clue what we were doing. And like, that's the thing, guys. Is like, just
do it.
Yeah, just do it. Like, okay, we're not getting into.
Do the work. I would say this: do the work, do the research, and just end it.
Me and Don, we sat and talked about research on a lot of topics for years, and then we finally implemented it. Like the gaming topic, we've been talking about this for a long time. Even before I even started, we were talking about it.
Yeah, I think it was like 6 months after I moved out here, we started talking about it.
Yeah. Look how long it took us to prepare for that, because even back then, a lot of these systems that are not like game systems, but a lot of these platforms that are out weren't out when we were first discussing it. Yeah. So there's more revenue streams out there, and you're now allowed to upload the same video on every platform without being copywritten. And YouTube is now allowing you to use the original video game music in your videos without being having the fear of being taken down. Because before you could use copywritten music, but now they have this blanket license that everyone gets paid for that video.
Yeah.
So it works out.
Even when I do cover music, it flags. Even if I do like Beethoven, which is like what, 1600s, like
Beethoven, it shouldn't even flag because it's a public domain now.
Right.
Oh no, sorry, no, not on that song. Never mind, it was a different song. But it will flag my covers if the covers have piano in them, because it's like, I'm too perfect, I guess. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But
it means it sounds super perfect,
No,
that's what it is.
They're so strict on everything, and I was just thinking, it's more of a reason for you to put your own music, your own instrumentals on your video game.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for coming on here, Will. This was such a great conversation.
Hey, Kaehla, you got anything you're trying to plug right now?
Right now, gosh, the podcast. We have Instagram, so definitely follow us.
@all_AM podcasts.
Yeah,
Thank you very
gonna
much.
link it on the bottom. Please also click on our Flow page. That's all we have right now, but it links you to all the ways you can find our
watch
podcast.
Or listen, as well as
subscribe. Like, this is the time for you guys to jump in. Like, we're still at our beginning stages, but we have come such a long way in just 3 months. And we're not stopping, obviously. So
heck, it doesn't matter the state or the distance, man. I'm just like loving it.
And I can send everyone the link to my YouTube page, which
perfect.
I'm in the midst of, and also Instagram and all that. I'm in the midst of actually kind of, I really like the idea of working from home. I really like the idea that you told us you can work from your car, because I've always wanted to get into voiceover, and that's something that I want to be able to do from home. So it's not a huge priority for me right now, but coming from a music background and then acting, voiceover is going to be natural, and then podcast.
Yes.
But the fact that you can take a microphone and sit in your car and stuff like that, or sit in your studio apartment, like whatever, like it's definitely something I'm working on. And although I have no projects besides the podcast right now, I'm focusing on the social media, so I'll definitely link that stuff.
That's awesome.
I got a lot going on. I got makeup going on, but we always plug my makeup, so.
Yeah. Pharmacy and youtube.com/Kaehla Maurer. But then also for me.
Well, not youtube.com/Kaehla Maurer, but I'll send it.
Yeah. Okay. But touche. But then again, for me, on top of just chilling with this, getting ready to head back into the industry now that quote unquote quarantine and not social distancing, but the stay-at-home order is pretty much obsolete at this point in LA, which kind of is a blessing and a curse because you don't know what's next. And so I've got that. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, /DKey for number REAL. And links will all be in the description. Follow the flow page. Also, for those interested in continuing the conversation, not just social justice wise, not just in wrestling, not just heck about the podcast where a lot of these episodes will end up, the Discord link to all that, and just for the conversation directly with me will be in the description. Awesome. But until then, much love, everybody, and see you for part 3. Till next week, TTFN.
Bye.
Have a good one.